This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
My countrymen and my friends, I had hoped against hope that some miracle would prevent a devastating war and bring to an end the invasion.
This most serious threat World Wrestling Federation has ever known.
The long-term future of sports entertainment could change forever.
A succession of actual wars have shaken the entire world and have threatened to bring on the gigantic conflict, which is today, unhappily, a fact.
No force of nature and no act of God could stop this invasion from happening.
I have said not once but many times that I have seen war and that I hate war.
This is our last chance.
There's no going back. There is no tomorrow. They want to finish us off.
Feel this moment for the rest of your life!
This war is only half over, and it could damn well be lost.
We're laying it all on the line.
Nothing can stop the WCW and ECW.
Austin is going to lead us into invasion.
Lift up your heart. All will come right.
We will kick WCW and ECW's. No WWF superstar is going to deny us from our destiny.
Dad! The sports entertainment!
I have seen war and I hate war.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another episode of The Nation Invasion. I'm your host, James Gruenberg, and I have another guest with me here tonight as we continue on with this invasion of the WWF. He is the host of Highway to the Impact Zone, and he is a co-host of YouTube Roulette. That is Mr. Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great tonight, Grooney. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just running with this podcast idea that I had, to cover the invasion, because it seems like it's an untouched territory. TNA isn't formed yet. WCW's out, ECW's out. So I wanted to cover what was going to happen with WCW, the aftermath of WCW. So here I am doing this podcast, The Nation Invasion,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Definitely an uncovered territory here on the Place to Be Nation feeds. Definitely an interesting idea. Probably, according to a lot of people, a storyline that didn't pan out as well as a lot of people would like to have. But I think it's kind of unheralded era for in-ring action because as we'll get into tonight with some of the matches that we had. But yeah, I think in-ring wise, this is probably one of their better eras. But the storyline may not have gone how a lot of people wanted it to. So.
Yeah, Logan, when you hear the initial thoughts of the invasion, you said it's not the way the storyline went. What went through your mind? Did you? Well, I don't think you watched this live, did you? But when you go back to it, what were you thinking was going to happen with the WCW invasion?
Yeah, I mean, the initial thoughts is, I wasn't watching live like you said, but I've watched it afterwards, of course, on the network and stuff like that. But you would think at the time, and I wouldn't have been reading dirt sheets or anything like that at this point, so I wouldn't have known about all the contracts and stuff like that. So you would have thought that they could bring in Hogan and the NWO and Goldberg and all those kind of guys, and just have the best of the best go up against each other, and they have the kind of war that they have, but obviously they couldn't get some of the people to get away from the Turner contract. So they eventually bring most of the guys in. Sans Sting, pretty much. Sting's pretty much the only one that was a major star that didn't come in. But they get everybody eventually. But you were kind of hoping that they could get them all at once and make this thing the most epic story in the history of wrestling. But it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, indeed. It didn't work out that way. Most of the guys who were off their contracts would come in around 2002, 2003 because, 2001 was still like, hey, I'm still getting a check. I can just walk to the mailbox and not have to do anything, until the next one comes into the mailbox. So I wouldn't like everyone says, I wouldn't mind just walking up to the mailbox and collecting a check.
Yeah, especially one with as many zeros as they probably some of those guys probably had. So definitely not a bad gig.
No, not at all. The last Raw was in Calgary. We saw Lance Storm invade, and it sort of gave you like that little like head nod. It's like, oh, wait a second, that's not a WWF employee. That's Lance Storm. He's worked for WCW. And like, at the time, I knew everyone knew that like WCW was gone who watched the last night, but it's like, oh, what's he doing here? Maybe not enough to like call your friend and be like, hey, Lance Storm just invaded, but like, I feel like just enough to like turn the head of like, wonder what else is going to happen with these guys. Are they going to bring in more guys like, from WCW, like what's going on, So we'll get another one here tonight with the shows that we're covering as well. So it'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. And you would think, you might not get super excited for Lance Storm, but you kind of see that, a WCW guy's showing up. So maybe through the weeks it'll build and get like cooler and cooler and cooler. So, like maybe eventually the last one is Goldberg showing up or something like that. But obviously that never happens. But you kind of get that feeling, and it kind of gets you excited that, more and more guys are going to come in week by week. So.
Yeah. But with that being said, let's kick off this one, Raw and SmackDown that we have. One note that I have here from this WWF Raw in Minneapolis was that Eddie Guerrero at this live Raw, he is sent home from the show, and he's eventually going to be released, but that's not until November. But he showed up to work at the arena in no condition, really. And according to like Chavo Guerrero, who has gone on the record, and like I feel like a lot of other people have gone on the record saying that, Chris Benoit saw Eddie Guerrero and like let everyone know, even Dean Malenko, he was like, Eddie is in no condition to work tonight too. Whether he was strung up on pills or he was just like high, it seemed like Eddie Guerrero was on drugs here, because he is sent home and he sits out the remainder of the invasion. He'll eventually get arrested in late 2001, and he is officially released in November of 2001 following that arrest. The last Raw and SmackDown that I covered, we saw Eddie Guerrero teaming with the Hardy Boys, because it seems by now the Radicals, they're gone in a way. Like Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko are still teaming up, as we'll see here tonight, but it does seem like the group, the Radicals, is gone. Chris Benoit is off to the main event. Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn are really hanging on to it. But Eddie Guerrero is left alone here. He's trying new things. He was the European champion. He lost that to Matt Hardy. And then, he starts teaming up with the Hardy Boys here. What I think would have happened, and also, Logan, he starts getting an eye on Lita too. So what I thought was going to happen was that Eddie Guerrero was going to start using his like Mamacita charms to try and lure Lita away from Matt Hardy, only to be caught and maybe get a European title rematch versus Matt Hardy. But, fate had it that Eddie Guerrero was in no condition to work tonight, and he was sent home, and he sat out for the rest of the whole year. and he was arrested and released at this time.
Not a good time for Mr. Guerrero. But yeah, I think you're probably right. I think they probably would have done something where Eddie was trying to get with Lita while she was dating Matt, and it would have led to more European title matches, and maybe Eddie gets the belt back. But I think this is just a rough time in his life. I think he really struggled with the pills and the alcohol at this point. So it just finally caught up to him. Obviously, his friends were worried about him. I don't think Benoit would have done that if he wasn't like truly concerned for him. I don't think he would have called him out. I think he was truly concerned as a buddy and a friend. But yeah, just it's rough to see him not be able to participate in this whole storyline because he was such an integral part of the cruiserweight division for WCW for so long. So sad to see him not be able to participate in this, but I think he got help and came out better on the other side.
And this is also like the second release within a week of each other. The first one was Grandmaster Sexy, and it's continuing here because Eddie Guerrero is gone too. So hopefully something comes good, the next week on Raw where no one gets let go or canned.
Yeah, we can only hope.
So we are live from Minneapolis, Minnesota tonight at the Target Center. This is WWF Raw from June 4th, 2001. We get a recap of SmackDown where it was Stone Cold and Chris Benoit for the WWF title. Benoit was still wearing the bandages around his ribs, and he is just getting decimated by Stone Cold. And it looked like Chris Benoit was going to, make Stone Cold submit. But every time he got close, Stone Cold always got to the ropes. So finally, Stone Cold grabs Chris Benoit's tights for the roll-up, and that's how Stone Cold wins. So Stone Cold takes the cowardly way out and uses the tights. So I don't think Benoit and or Jericho are going anywhere from Stone Cold. So Stone Cold's troubles are not done with him yet with Benoit and Jericho.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're definitely going to be still in the picture going forward because it seems like anytime he does get a victory over him, it's kind of in a cheap way. So they'll definitely be a thorn in his side going forward from here.
Yep. So we have a intercontinental title match to kick this off. It is Kane versus Christian. Now, Christian was returning from injury from that TLC match on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. Christian really got like the brunt of the injuries, and he needed like a whole week off from work because the injuries from that match were really getting to him. But he is back now after Edge unsuccessfully gets cannot wrestle away the Intercontinental title. It's Christian's turn to see if he can beat Kane for the Intercontinental Championship. Christian makes fun of Minnesota and Kirby Plunkett and Kevin Garnett, so he's taking shots at the Timberwolves, and I forget who Kirby what was it?
The Twins.
Oh yeah, the baseball star, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, just GP make fun of the sports guys. So then Kane comes out. Kane unloads on Christian. Flying clothesline by Kane. Christian sends Kane into the steps, and Edge assaults Kane. A drop kick to Kane's face. A tilt-a-whirl slam to Christian. Edge tries to distract Kane, but gets choke slammed by Kane. When all of a sudden, Kane and Christian are on the outside fighting, and the referees with them. The WCW, music goes off, and it's like a missile alarm, like, all of a sudden, Hugh Morris comes out, and he gives Edge his trademark moonsault, and he runs away from the crowd. I like how the referee is really dealing with Kane and Christian on the outside. Like, he doesn't hear an alarm blaring to look into the ring, what's going on. Like, he's really distracted. So he really sold this this distraction. So then Hugh Morris leaves. Christian tries to hit the Unprettier on Kane, but gets countered to a power bomb for the win. So Kane beats Christian and retains the Intercontinental title. I went 2 1/4 on it, Logan. I liked it, a little bit of offense from Christian, but not really that much. Mm-hmm. And Kane just really dominates. And we have another WCW invader. It is Hugh Morris this time, Logan. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I enjoyed it as well. I gave it 2. I like Edge and Christian shitting on the Minneapolis sports teams and icons when they came out. I thought that was pretty funny. I like Kane's power offense. He completely overpowers Christian the whole time. Christian's really only offense is when Edge kind of provides a distraction, or he just kind of avoids Kane charging at him in the corner. But every time, even if he does get a little bit of offense, it's kind of short-lived. We get Hugh Morris, another maybe lower tier guy. So you can see it's kind of building towards maybe a mid-card guy is going to come in eventually, but exciting to see another guy pop in. And I always loved Kane's little alternate powerbomb finisher that he pulls out in this era. So pretty cool to see that. And I love his power offense, and he just completely dominates Christian here. So like I said, I went 2.
Yeah, Kane is really doing a dominant run with the Intercontinental title ever since getting it away from Triple H. We see in the back that Shane McMahon is in the production truck, so he's fooling around with the WCW controls. So he's still a thorn in his father's back and the WWF side as well. Vince McMahon comes out to the ring. He's not in a good mood since another WCW invader came in. So he comes out to the ring, says Shane is a disruptive force, and Vince will prevent him from disrupting the show. Asked who the hell is Chris Benoit, points out all the damage Benoit did to him. Like, he really bashes Mr. McMahon with a chair on SmackDown last week. Mm-hmm. However, he points out that Stone Cold has beaten Benoit twice and will not get another title shot here tonight. Stone Cold doesn't deserve that kind of treatment. It says Chris Benoit will face Big Show tonight. Mick Foley comes out to the ring, and he pulls out a contract. He's also supporting his, showing off his book, Foley is good. I'm a 2-time #1 best-selling author. Buy my book. He pulls out a bookmark, which is one of those contracts that Linda McMahon gave him to sign. Foley can make a main event on Raw anytime he wants. It says Stone Cold will face Chris Jericho tonight. However, and Chris Benoit and Mr. McMahon are barred from ringside. However, Vince McMahon says, well, you can only make that match in Connecticut. Since we're not in Connecticut, that contract is void. So Mick Foley can only make matches and main events if they're at the Hartford Civic Center in Connecticut. However, in Minnesota, Vince McMahon does not run Minnesota. The governor does. So how comes Jesse Ventura? Jesse Ventura comes out, says that Vince McMahon doesn't control him. Ventura uses his powers to make the match official. Foley says that he will have a big surprise tonight. Your thoughts on this segment, Logan?
I thought it was really well done. Just all the facials that Vince has. He's concerned whenever Jesse gets called out and whenever the contract's kind of brought up and Linda's name is kind of brought up because they're going through the whole divorce angle right now. He says some stuff about Benoit that I thought was looking back, and this is kind of prophetic. Like what he says is and ends up kind of being true in real life. So I was kind of like, oh, that kind of is uncomfortable. But yeah, just all the stuff he says is great. Foley's really good in this segment, just pushing the book while also kind of screwing Vince at the same time. Jesse had the jacket he was wearing was like this like red snakeskin thing, so it was a hell of a jacket for sure. But it was good to see Jesse. I wasn't expecting that going into these episodes. So, and then Foley lays the little thing at the end, and he has a big surprise at the end of the night. So that's a kind of a through line for the rest of the episode. But good segment. Went kind of long, but I understand it at the same time.
Yeah, but really good to see Jesse come back here. When I was thinking Minneapolis, I was like saying to myself, I think this is the one where Jesse comes out. I guess I was watching. I was like, Minneapolis. Oh, this is when I remember. I was like, this is when Jesse the Body Ventura came out.
Mm-hmm.
So good on Jesse for enforcing him, just like he did in '99 when he enforced himself. Referee for something. Him too. Anything that is Minnesota belongs to Ventura.
Yep, that's right.
So now we have a King of the Ring qualifying match. This is Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. But backstage, Stone Cold and Deborah arrive as well here. But so this is probably, I feel like this match was probably laid out like Monday afternoon, it's like the last minute maybe that, hey, Eddie Guerrero got sent home. We need to do something. So why don't we just put you guys in the KO King of the Ring tournament qualifying match because, the tournament is coming up and we need to get some more matches. And since Eddie's gone, we might as well do something with you guys here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that they probably had to scramble a little bit for this one, but it's cool to see the brothers kind of face off for one of the first times here.
Yep. Both try to go for early pins. Matt tries to go for a twist of fate early, but Jeff counters. Jeff lands a corkscrew moonsault for a 2 count. Jeff misses a dive and gets DDT'd. A jawbreaker to Matt. Jeff misses the swanton bomb when Matt gets the knees up. Matt tries to do the twist of fate, but he gets countered for a roll-up by Jeff, and Jeff Hardy gets the 3 count here. I went 2.5 on it. I feel that this match sort of lacks because I feel that both Hardys know what the other one is thinking. So when you think of brother versus brother, it's like, I know your every move. I'm going to know your every move. So it's like, which one is going to, screw up first, and make the big mistake. It felt like Jeff was going to make that big mistake and Matt was going to get the win when Matt Hardy countered the swanton. But then, Jeff Hardy was a step ahead of Matt when he countered the twist of fate into a roll-up, so Jeff Hardy gets the win here. I went 2.5, so Jeff Hardy will advance in this King of the Ring tournament match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for as short as this match was, I really enjoyed it as well. And like you said, it was very that was filled with a lot of counters because they know each other so well because they're brothers, tag team partners. They know how each other work. So it was just a matter of who was going to catch that first that reversal that finally finished it off, and it was Jeff who got the roll up there at the end. Just a couple of moves. The whisper in the wind that he hit on Matt. He absolutely crushed him with that. The little backdrop ricochet DDT that Matt hit on Jeff on the outside was pretty cool. And the knees getting up on the swanton always looks real brutal to me. So, but I thought it was a good surprise win for Jeff. Gave him a little boost because Matt's the European champion, so he obviously has had more single success recently. But Jeff starts a pretty good week here with this victory over his brother.
Yeah, he does. What would you give it, Logan? Sorry about that.
I gave it 2. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah. So backstage here, Mr. McMahon informs Stone Cold he will defend the title against Jericho. Stone Cold is not happy. He tells Vince to fix it. He tells Vince to give half of his money to Linda. And that Vince will do no such thing because she doesn't deserve any of it.
My damn back's hurting, Vince. You got to do something about this. So yeah, they're good little back and forth with Austin and Vince there.
Yep. Then we get William Regal. He's telling Jerry how tea should be made when Kurt Angle comes in. So Jerry lets out a scream because he doesn't want to get his butt kicked by Kurt Angle again. Regal says that, Regal says that Shane has accepted Kurt's challenge and will allow Kurt to actually defend his King of the Ring title, and so Kurt Angle will be allowed to wrestle in the King of the Ring tournament as well as facing Shane McMahon. So we'll have to see how far Kurt Angle gets in the tournament because his King of the Ring title is on the line as well. So Kurt Angle is really doing a lot here. He's going to defend his King of the Ring title, and he'll face Shane McMahon at King of the Ring. Whether or not how far Kurt Angle gets in the tournament, he will face Shane McMahon.
Yeah. The fact that he's willing to wrestle at least maybe 2 matches, possibly 3, is kind of insane. But he wants Shane. He wants revenge on Shane for ruining his little medal ceremony that I think he had a few weeks before this. So he really wants to get his hands on Shane, but he also wants to defend his crown. So big ups for Angle wanting to do
that. Yes, indeed, as well. So now we have, but also, so Kurt wants a match with Spike Dudley. However, Regal says, why don't I make this a 6-man tag match? Since the Dudleys and the Hollies are already involved in a match, why don't I put you with the Hollies and Spike with the Dudley boys and make it a 6-man tag match? And then Kurt is like, well, I don't know, but I broke Hardcore Holly's arm last year, and I hit Crash Holly with a chair. He said something to that effect. But I'm going to forgive them, so I'm in. So it'll be a 6-man tag, the Dudley Boys and Spike versus the Hollies and Kurt Angle in their corner as well. So that'll be a 6-man. And then, the Dudley then Dudley Boys need to tell Spike he needs to focus on the match tonight and not Molly Holly. Speaking of Molly Holly, Molly is at WWF New York. Says she really likes Spike as well. So, Logan, a lot going on backstage here.
Yeah, absolutely. Angle talks about all of his things that he's done to the Hollies throughout the last few months or last year or so. I think even says he said something inappropriate to Molly Holly at some point too. So he's offended all of the Hollies at some point in the past. But yeah, he really wants Spike because Spike, I think, interfered in his match the previous week or something to that effect. And then the whole Molly and Spike relationship thing is just weird, and I don't know. It plays a big part on SmackDown, and it ends up being a pretty good comedic through line through SmackDown's the hour and a half that we get of that program. But just good stuff by Kurt Angle. Anytime you can get him in kind of a little bit of a comedy segment, it's always a win.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on this Spike Dudley and Molly Holly relationship?
It's okay. It's fine. It gives them something to do, but it's just kind of weird and awkward. But I mean, I think that's kind of what it's supposed to be. So it plays for some good laughs eventually. So I guess it works.
Yeah. So now we do have that 6-man tag match, Dudley Boys versus the Hollies and Kurt Angle. Spike starts off versus Hardcore, tags the Devon, a dropkick to Devon, a power slam to Hardcore. Hardcore slams sends Spike to the outside. Hard shots to Spike by Crash, and Hardcore sticks his knees to Spike's back. Tag to Bubba Ray, but the ref didn't see it. German suplex by Kurt to Spike. A diving stomp off the top rope by Spike to Kurt. A Bubba bomb to Hardcore. A German suplex to Bubba. Kurt misses the moonsault, a what's up bomb to Kurt Angle, a 3D to Crash, but then Kurt Angle gives the Angle slam to Bubba Ray for the win here. Logan, this match was pretty good. Spike Dudley was really holding his own against Kurt. Well, I like that off the top rope stomp that Spike Dudley gives to Kurt here. A lot of action, everyone is hitting their spots in. I actually went 3 stars on it, Logan. I really like this. It was a lot of brawling, and Kurt Angle, he gets the win here with the Angle Slam. So I went 3 stars on it, Logan. A very good, solid match.
Yeah, I thought it was a really solid 6-man tag. I went 2.5. I love that they already had friction between Hardcore and Angle before the match even started. They were kind of snipping back and forth at each other on who was going to start the match. Spike at the beginning of the match sneaks a punch in on Angle and then immediately runs to his corner and tags out. So he kind of pulls a little chicken shit move there. I like that a lot. Hardcore does the, where he has kind of Spike's head over the top rope and then he kind of kicks him in the quote-unquote midsection, but he kicks him straight out of the ring, so I thought that was a pretty good spot as well. That stomp that you talked about I thought was really sick from Spike on Kurt. I thought that was a good move. Bubba comes in with a lot of fire and kills both of the Hollies and Angle temporarily. And then I thought it was kind of fitting that he called for Devon to go out and get the tables. But while Devon was kind of doing that, Kurt snuck in and got the Angle Slam. So, yeah, really good 6-man, really solid match. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with, Hardcore Holly and Kurt Angle. Is their beef squashed yet? We don't know. But it looks like, the Dudley boys are still a little off with Spike too, so we'll see where that all pans out as well.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have the Big Show versus Chris Benoit. Mr. McMahon said that Chris Benoit was going to face the Big Show here tonight, so we have this. I want to point something out too before we get into this matchup here. Paul Heyman on commentary. I'm sure you probably picked up on this, but if you didn't, he's saying that both men, which is true, but a little weird on Benoit's side, both men are former WCW heavyweight champions. And he points out that Benoit is an undefeated champion as well, which I sort of really laughed at. I was like, well, Paul, he vacated the title. I don't know if anyone really was inside on that reference, but I remember watching it. I was like, why would he bring that up unless he's trying to be snarky and a smart mark, because that's what Paul is, the smart mark commentator where he doesn't think people are going to really pick up on that stuff. But I thought it was funny how he said that Chris Benoit was an undefeated WCW heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and it was kind of one of those things that made you think is he on the WCW side? He said something like that, and it kind of implies that maybe one of these guys may defect to the WCW side whenever they come in at full strength or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to kind of lay that out there for sure.
Yeah, so we do have Big Show versus Chris Benoit. Chops to the Big Show. Benoit gets thrown into the turnbuckle. A huge clothesline to Benoit. A bear hug by the Big Show. Huge big boot to Benoit. So Big Show is just really going to town on Benoit here, with the press slam. Big Show misses an elbow drop. A kick to Big Show. Benoit goes for a diving headbutt, but is caught for a choke slam. But that gets countered into the crossface, and the Big Show submits here. I went 2 3/4, Logan. A really good finish. How Benoit gets caught with the diving headbutt. He gets caught and it goes up for the choke slam, but then Benoit counters that into the crossface for the win. Really, really good stuff here. Looked like Big Show was just really dominating Benoit here, but another great showing, and Benoit pulls out another one too. So he's still defending that he is the Rabid Wolverine, and Benoit is a force to not to be reckoned with.
Yeah, again, this was another kind of short match, but for what they were given, I thought they did a pretty good job. Lots of strikes, lots of chops, which, it comes along with a lot of Benoit matches. He hits a lot of knife-edge chops and a lot of physical strikes. But yeah, like you said, Benoit gets kind of caught with the in the chokeslam position from going for the diving headbutt. So I thought that was a quick, cool transition from that move. And then he kind of escapes the chokeslam and locks in the crossface and gets the win. But yeah, for that they weren't given much time, but for what they did get, I thought they did a pretty good job with it. So I went to again, but I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, it was. So we'll see where everyone hangs on to as we get into SmackDown as well.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker comes to the ring. He has last week on Monday Night Raw from Calgary, a video arrived for Jim Ross, and it said that we were going to meet the Undertaker's wife. He got a message saying that we were going to meet the Undertaker's wife. A video plays when Undertaker isn't around on Raw. It's of his wife, Sarah, and we get another video of Sarah again on SmackDown. So this time the Undertaker is here. He says whoever is stalking his wife has a death list and should face him like a man. Says enough is enough. Says if he finds a stalker, he's going to die 1,000 deaths. He goes over to JR and says Jim Ross was the first one who got the message. And, he's saying, well, who'd you get it from? He goes, I don't know. I got it from a courier, but he didn't say who it was. Paul sort of insults the Undertaker, but not really. Like, he just says, if it was my old lady, but, Undertaker wasn't having it. And he smacked the crap out of Paul Heyman. Like, it was more of like a punch, too. Like, Undertaker just really wailed on Heyman, after like Paul says his line. Another video comes on the screen of Sarah cleaning the deck. So, Undertaker is pissed. What do you think of this segment?
Yeah, I was going to say, Taker shows a lot of fire here. He's obviously going to absolutely destroy whoever this ends up being. I feel like people always are quick to go after JR and kind of chastise him and be like, well, you get the tape, so where the heck did you get it from? Don't make me beat your ass, So, and then he really socks Heyman one. It's a pretty stiff shot. So I wonder if there was a little bit of tension or a little bit of hatred in that punch that he gave him. So, but yeah, pretty good segment. Shows that Taker's serious and wants to find out who the heck's messing with his family.
Backstage, we get Undertaker finding Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon is pleading with the Undertaker. It has nothing to do with Sarah. Says that Shane McMahon might be involved in it. Since Shane McMahon is doing this whole WCW invasion, maybe he knows who's stalking, or maybe it might be one of the WCW invaders. So Vince really sells Shane right down the river. So we'll see if Undertaker does any more investigating or interrogating, guilty until proven innocent interrogation, might I add, of who is stalking his wife here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to do a lot more interrogating than he is investigating for sure. So he's going to beat some ass and beat some answers out of somebody. So looks like Shane might be his next target.
Yeah. We have another King of the Ring qualifying match now. Rhino versus Taz. Suplex by Taz. Kicks to Rhino. Kicks Rhino to the outside. Clothesline by Rhino. A suplex by Rhino. Taz actually gores Rhino for a 2 count. Taz mission to Rhino, but gets countered. And then Taz gets gored for the win. I went a 1.5 stars here, Logan. I thought it was good, good matches good suplexes by Taz, and I found it amazing that Taz stole Rhino's finisher for try to get the win with the gore for a 2 count here. It was a little bit good. It was good. Nothing really special here, but I went a 1.5 on it.
Yeah, I went a 1.5 as well. Perfectly fine little back and forth match between these two ECW originals that never, I don't think, really intermingled with each other in ECW because Rhino kind of came in after Taz, or as Taz was kind of going out. So these two never really did much in ECW together. So it's kind of cool seeing these two ECW legends go at it. But I was honestly kind of surprised that they gave Taz as much offense as they did because he's kind of working into the commentary role at this point. He's not really wrestling very much anymore. And they even kind of say that on, I think Ross mentions that on commentary. So it was kind of weird that he was even in this match, and especially that he got as much offense as he did. But I thought it was perfectly fine, 1.5. But yeah, obviously they want to push Rhino going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Rhino will advance in the King of the Ring tournament. As we saw earlier that Jeff Hardy advanced the King of the Ring tournament too.
Mm-hmm.
Backstage, Stone Cold is paranoid about what surprise Mick Foley has for him for his upcoming match with Chris Jericho for the title tonight. He sends Deborah to try and get answers from Foley because Deborah was deputy commissioner mistress to Foley during his run. Towards the end, Deborah was brought in and was the deputy commissioner. So she goes off and she finds Foley by the vending machine. Well, actually, Foley's with Trish Stratus, and he said some funny things, to get her pumped up for her bra and panties match here tonight with Terry. I forget what he said. He said something about Alexander Hamilton, and they should have settled it in a bra and panties match. She's really saying some weird, funny things here to get Trish pumped up for her match with Terry tonight.
Yeah, just an absurd back and forth between Trish and Foley for sure. She's trying to go along with it, but she's just like, okay, I'll go along with it. That's fine, man.
So then Deborah brings chocolate to Mick and tries to get Foley to tell the surprise, but Foley gives Deborah a book and will not reveal the surprise. So Deborah has failed. Christian is backstage with Edge. He wanted to be Intercontinental Champion. Says he's going to enter the King of the Ring and win the tournament. Edge is like, all right, little bro, do what you must, let's see if you can do it. Seems like they're planting Christian's jealousy a little bit here. Not really something, but Christian's always trying to do what Edge does, Edge got an Intercontinental title shot. Now it's Christian's turn. Edge is entering the tournament. Now Christian's going to enter the tournament. So, I feel like they're planting those early seeds of Christian being jealous here.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to tease a little something that's going on between these two. So, obviously, both are going to be in the tournament. So, we'll see where that kind of leads them. Maybe they'll face each other in some round eventually. But it obviously is kind of leading to some tension between the two.
So now we have an interview with Chris Jericho. Jericho goes over all of his accomplishments, how he became, Intercontinental Champion and European Champion, and that for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour on a Monday Night Raw, Chris Jericho beat Triple H for the WWF title last year with that fast count by Earl Hebner, but Triple H obviously gets the title back. Says Stone Cold deserves to get his ass kicked, and Chris Jericho deserves to be WWF champion.
Yeah, good little promo by Jericho here. Talks about that night where he was WWF champion for about 45 minutes to an hour, like you said. That was one of the greatest accomplishments of his life, and he wants to feel that feeling again, like he always says. So, yeah, good little promo hyping up the main event by Jericho here.
Yep. And now we have the filler match of the week, basically. It's the Braun Kings match. It's Trish Stratus versus Terry. A bulldog to Terry. Trish removes Terry's bra. High heels on Trish's hair. So Terry's basically just like stepping on Trish's hair with her high heels, which must hurt really. Trish's bra gets removed. Perry Saturn comes out in a robe, and he disrobes wearing bra and panties, basically, which was so weird. Just Perry Saturn is really getting his head knocked around, and now he's wearing women's undergarments here. Terry gets in, and then her panties removed. I went a quarter star, Logan.
I didn't even honestly rate it. It's just kind of to get Perry out there to show off his new gimmick of where he's not mentally all there, I'll say. So he's a little loopy from a shot that I believe he took previously. So he's not. He doesn't have all his faculties, we'll say, and I think this just kind of put over that character throughout this match. But a good win for Trish, but I didn't rate it because it wasn't much of a match and it didn't last very long. So
okay, so now we have our main event. It is for the WWF title. It is Stone Cold versus Chris Jericho. Mick Foley comes out. The surprise is he's going to be the outside referee for the match. Austin starts out by stomping Chris Jericho. A dropkick to Austin by Jericho. Chops to Austin. Jericho locks in the walls of Jericho, but Austin gets the ropes. A springboard dropkick by Jericho. Austin slams Jericho into the steps and throws Jericho into Foley. Jericho throws Austin into the steps. Foley throws Austin back into the ring. Bulldog to Austin. Jericho misses the line saw. A spine buster to Jericho by Austin. Austin low blows Jericho. Austin goes back to work basically on Jericho. He's getting beat. And then a low blow to Austin. A drop kick by Jericho. A hurricanrana to Austin for a 2 count. Jericho goes into Earl Hebner. The walls of Jericho to Austin. So Foley looks like he's about to ring the bell for Chris Jericho if Austin were to submit. William Regal takes out Foley. And then Foley comes in with a chair, but he accidentally misses Stone Cold and hits Jericho with the chair. Austin covers Jericho for a 2 count. And then Austin gets a stunner to Jericho for the 3 count. I went 3 stars on this match here, Logan. I thought it was clunky around the end, with Regal coming out, but you need somebody to handle Chris Jericho's misfortune, Chris Jericho, because Mr. McMahon was barred from ringside. So the next best thing is William Regal. But I think the finish was a little clunky with, Regal coming out, Foley accidentally hitting Jericho, and then just the stunner, for the win. So I went 3 stars, but I think the finish was a little clunky.
Yeah. I only went 2.5 on it. I'm kind of with you. It got a little convoluted there at the end. They didn't really need Foley and Regal to be out there. It could have just been Regal kind of costing Jericho at some point and kind of getting out of there with that. But I do like that McMahon kind of used the workaround. Obviously, he couldn't interfere, so he sent the next best person out, which was Regal, to kind of interfere on his behalf. I thought it was a solid match between the two guys, but like you said, it got kind of clunky at the end. It was good back and forth, really well worked by the two guys. But yeah, I went 2.5. I thought it could have been better for sure. I think these guys definitely have had better and will have better matches in the future. So it was good. I thought the matches worked well, but a little too much interference there at the end.
So the post-match segment has Jericho locking the walls of Jericho on Regal, and then Foley gives Regal Mr. Sacco. So Regal gets punished for interfering with combined walls of Jericho and Mr. Sacco.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to end that show. That's going to end Monday Night Raw. So Jericho is still a thorn in Austin's side as well, along with Chris Benoit. But I wanted to talk and ask you, what did you think of Hugh Morris interfering for WCW?
I thought, like I said, it was another guy just to pop in. Maybe not the biggest star or anything like that, but I think, like I said, I think it's kind of building towards some bigger stars as we go. So it was exciting to see another WCW guy come in. Maybe the next one will be a guy that's a little bit more important, but we'll see. But I thought it was pretty cool that they are continuing to kind of bring in a guy a week, it seems.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because if you recall in WCW's like dying days or like the dying months of WCW, Hugh Morris was getting a push a little bit with the United States title. Mm-hmm. Do you think that and I thought he might have some name credibility if you were watching WCW at the time. Do you think this is a spot for, say, Chris Kanyon to come in?
Yeah, I mean that definitely could have been that definitely would have been a lot cooler. I think he was a bigger star kind of towards the end of WCW. He definitely is a better worker, I would say. So yeah, that would have been a cool spot for him to come in. Maybe he could be the next guy that could be the little bit bigger of a star that they could build kind of towards some of those higher tier guys. So, but yeah, Kanyon could have been an awesome spot here. So for sure.
Yeah, because it's like, well, maybe you don't put, maybe like Kanyon is like more of the medium where it's like, oh, we should save him, but yeah, I think Hugh Morris is probably good at this spot too. Plus it's like, do we even know if Kanyon is a part of this? Like, who do we actually really have? They probably were still like figuring out some of these like deals, but it does seem in set in stone, like who we're getting and by the looks of it, what we're getting from Lance Storm and Hugh Morris, like maybe this can be really good or it can be really bad, depending how you look at it.
Yeah, and maybe it was kind of a contract situation. Like maybe they were signing guys as they went, and like Morris and Storm immediately signed and were like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'll come work for y'all." And maybe they against the other guys a little bit, so that's why they didn't come in as quickly. But that could be definitely a thing that could have happened.
Mm-hmm. So now, Logan, we are going to SmackDown, June 7th. We're at the University of North Dakota. We kick off with a King of the Ring qualifying match. It is Kurt Angle versus Hardcore Holly. So we take us back to Raw with that 6-man tag. You can see that Holly and Kurt Angle were glaring at each other. And then when Kurt Angle gets the win over Bubba, Hardcore is not happy because, Angle is the one getting the pin. Meanwhile, Kurt Angle is like celebrating, like, yeah, I did it. And Hardcore is really not happy with Kurt Angle. So, get this King of the Ring qualifying match because Kurt Angle said he wanted to defend his title. So, he's going to have to go through the whole tournament like everyone else does. A cross body to Kurt to start off, a back body drop and clothesline to Kurt, big boot by Hardcore, belly-to-belly suplex by Kurt Angle, an ankle lock by Kurt, but Hardcore gets the ropes, a German suplex by Kurt, stab suplex by Kurt. Hardcore, so Kurt Angle goes up for the moonsault here, and everyone's like, oh boy, here we go again. Even the announcers are like hyping, like, this is what broke Holly's arm. He's got to be careful. Counters the moonsault with his knees. A huge drop kick to Kurt. Hardcore lands a diving leg drop, which I thought looked sick for a 2 count. Kurt Angle then hits the Angle Slam for, I don't know if it was Fang Angle Slam or the Olympic Slam, but he gets the win with the Olympic Slam here. So I went 2.5 on it. It was a really good match here. These guys were laying in a lot of blows, and Hardcore is stiff, but I think Kurt Angle can be snug as well. So they seem like the really good opponents here. And, all eyes were really on Kurt. Is he going to land the moonsault again? Is he going to re-break poor Holly's arm? So I went 2.5 here.
Yeah, I actually went 3 on this one. I thought this was a really shockingly really good physical match. I thought they really stiffed the shit out of each other the whole time. Hardcore got some rage out early, obviously taking out some aggression from Angle, previously breaking his arm, like we've mentioned quite a few times at this point. I thought the belly to belly to the outside on the outside was really nasty looking. I thought it made a pretty good thud. I'll always say this, any pod that I do that Hardcore Holly does a drop kick on, but he has the best drop kick in the entire business. It's so smooth and elegant looking, so I'll always put over that. But like I said, just a really shockingly good, that kind of came out of nowhere for me, but real physical match, and I thought it was a great way to open the show. So I went 3 on it.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it was a really great match, and of course Kurt Angle gets the win, so he would advance and looking to retain his King of the Ring title here. So Kurt Angle qualifies, and he'll keep on moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, sorry about that. Backstage,
no,
we
you're
have
good.
says he is going to wait for Shane McMahon to arrive. They're all saying like the limo's driving around. So Undertaker is really just going to wait for Shane McMahon. Stone Cold comes to the ring, says he is looking for a fight, says him and Mr. McMahon will become the tag champions, as we were alluded to tonight, that it's going to be Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho putting the WWF tag team titles on the line against Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon, which I thought was shocking when I first watched this back. I was like, wow, it's going to be Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon, but we'll see how that pans out. Mm-hmm. Says he can beat both Jericho and Benoit at the same time. When he says this, Logan, mm-hmm. I must have gotten one step ahead of myself. I thought this was when Linda comes out and tells Stone Cold what his King of the Ring plans are going to be, but I think that's for another week. But when he said that, I thought, is this when that comes out?
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh man, he said that line, and that's going to come back to haunt him later. I didn't know if this was when the match got announced, but I knew that line was going to come back to bite him. But yeah, him and Vince going for the tag titles was definitely an interesting way. I definitely didn't see that coming when I started this SmackDown. So definitely an interesting main event for us later.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So then, so Stone Cold, Stone Cold is basically, looking for a fight. It says him and Mr. McMahon will become the tag team champions here tonight. Backstage, Spike and Molly say they like each other, and they try and kiss, but they're interrupted by Perry Saturn, who I believe said monkeys use sign language to tell dolphins they love them. Something around there, I believe. I remember picking up. So they're like, thanks, Perry. We're just going to be leaving right now.
And then he says, you're welcome. Which becomes his catchphrase.
Yeah, it does. So, Spike and Molly are trying to find a hiding spot just to, confess their love to each other. Mr. McMahon and Regal are talking backstage. Mr. McMahon says he would like some popcorn. So Regal sends to Jerry to go get Mr. McMahon some popcorn. Like, Mr. McMahon would really want to be eating popcorn on a live television show, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they're talking about the CW limo being outside. But Mr. McMahon says, no, let the limo in, because he wants to see Shane McMahon get his butt kicked by The Undertaker, because he knows that Undertaker's looking for Shane, so he thinks Shane's in the limo. So he says, let him in. Like, just let it go. Oh, and so, so Shane McMahon is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, he's going to get his ass kicked as soon as he comes in. So Vince kind of actually wants the WCW presence to be there tonight.
Yep. So we have a light heavyweight title match, Logan. I don't know how previewed you are to the light heavyweight title, but there was a light heavyweight title in WWF, and it's still going at this time. We have Jeff Hardy versus Jerry Lynn. I don't know any other match besides this where Jerry Lynn defends his light heavyweight title here, but this is the only one I know of.
Yeah, he didn't make too many TV appearances for sure. I think he was a Heat regular at this point. I think he was on Heat and Jacked and Metal and all that kind of stuff pretty regularly. But he does not appear on SmackDown or Raw very often. Definitely not Raw, but maybe a SmackDown here and there. But I think he's definitely the C-show king at this point.
Yeah, he even won the light heavyweight title on Sunday Night Heat, as pointed out by Michael Cole. So you can tell how they're using Jerry Lynn here. Jeff misses a crossbody to the outside, a light drop to Jeff Hardy's head. So his head's this way, and literally Jerry Lynn drops the leg right onto the back of Jeff's neck there.
Mm-hmm.
So then a head. Back suplex to Jeff, a jawbreaker by Jeff, corkscrew moonsault to Jerry, tornado DDT countered by Jeff, and then Jeff Hardy gets the Swanton Bomb in for a victory. So he pins Jerry Lynn for the win. So we have a new light heavyweight champion, that is Jeff Hardy. I went 1.5 stars here, Logan. It was good, but I'm not really a preview to Jerry Lynn's type of style here, especially in his short run with WWF as well. So, he seemed to have, a good moveset, but, he also seems very out of place here as well. So, I feel like this is good to get the title off of Jerry Lynn and give it to Jeff Hardy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with my TNA knowledge, of course, I know a little bit more about Jerry Lynn for sure. I actually went a little way bit higher than you on this. I actually went 2 3/4. I thought it was really awesome. Lynn obviously makes a rare appearance here, but they do mention that they think he's one of the greatest light heavyweight champions there's ever been in the company. So that's kind of amazing that he's hardly ever on TV, but he's one of the best that they've ever seen. I thought they really brought their working boots in this one. I really think if the light heavyweight division had been presented this way, with this kind of match on a weekly basis, it probably could have gotten over and lasted longer, and they may not have had to switch to the cruiserweight division. I mean, even though it's pretty much the same thing, pretty much the same weight division and all that kind of stuff, same style. But I think if they had presented it throughout its history at this point, it would have been a lot more exciting and could have been a little bit more than it was. But great week for Jeff. Advances in the tournament and wins a belt along the way. So, like I said, I went 2 3/4, but I'm a big Jerry Lynn fan, and I'm a very big Jeff Hardy fan, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I'll have to go back and watch some of the Jerry Lynn stuff. I mean, I actually saw Jerry Lynn when we did that TNA show, too, with the one we covered, the highway. So, yeah, so might have to watch a little bit more of Jerry Lynn. And so, I mean, I'm a privy to his ECW work, too, with Rob Van Dam. But I just thought that Jerry Lynn seems like a little out of place here in the
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now we get a new video of somebody again stalking The Undertaker. This time they're in a public parking lot. So, the guy's like, "Are you safe, Sarah? Do you think you're safe? This is The Undertaker's wife, Sarah. She's in public, so she's safer. But that's what she thinks." So, it's a really creepy voice.
Yeah. Terrifying.
The great value Earl Jones got hired tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's like government cheese, great James Earl Jones for sure. So
the WCW limo pulls up and Undertaker confronts it. However, Shane McMahon is not in the limo. So he's like, well, if you see Shane, tell him he's got a death wish. You better get out of here too, or you'll be meeting the Undertaker as well. So whoever was in the limo, whether maybe it was Hugh Morris, Landstorm, or some other WCW superstar in that limo, it was not Shane McMahon. So Undertaker is even more pissed.
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do anything with that because it seems like he doesn't expect whoever is in the limo to be there. So I'm surprised they didn't reveal somebody else. But it was funny that he was like, "Why the hell are you here?" Well, whatever, Shane. Tell Shane he has a death wish and to come see me if he wants to live. So, but yeah, just kind of a weird segment.
Yeah, I feel like they could have revealed who it was,
Yeah.
but, they wanted to save more surprises, Imagine if it was the guy who was stalking Undertaker's wife or something, but he doesn't know yet who it is. Like, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, okay, later.
Yeah, that would have been funny if it ended up being who it ends up being the stalker that was just in the limo and he had no clue.
Yeah. So backstage again, Spike and Molly try to kiss, but this time they're interrupted accidentally by Tajiri, who's walking back with Mr. McMahon's popcorn. Spike bumps into him, and Tajiri literally just freaks out and drops the popcorn. So no popcorn for Mr. McMahon. And Tajiri is sort of like crying because he's like, oh boy, I did bad. Mr. McMahon's going to be mad because he's not getting his popcorn.
I screwed up again. Dadgummit.
And then we go to Stone Cold and Deborah. They're backstage. She can't stand the fact that Chris Benoit and Jericho are tag team champions, but I think it's also that they beat him and Triple H for those tag team titles too. So that's why he's mad that they are the tag team titles because they beat Austin and Triple H too, but he blames the match on Triple H like it was his fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just wants all the gold, so he's jealous that they not only beat them, but he wants to be a double champion once again. So definitely a little bit of jealousy going on there, and he just hollers at Deborah because she happens to be the person that's in the room with him.
Yep. So we have another Intercontinental title match. Kane is really doing a lot with the title here. He's a champion, he's a champion's champion. Stone Cold says, Kane is really putting this Intercontinental title on the line night in, night out versus everyone here, as he will take on X-Pac of the X Factor. And no, Logan, they didn't get to Uncle Cracker yet.
Nope. Yep, I think it's officially dubbed out of all the WWE Network or Peacock stuff. So we never get the dulcet tones of Mr. Cracker. So
I was gonna say maybe it slipped by on the invasion pay-per-view. I don't know, but
yeah, I think it's random. I think I want to say it's randomly on one of the pay-per-views, but all the weekly TVs, it's this random dub that's terrible.
I don't think it was a random dub because I think also in the SmackDown Just Bring It game that I had for PS2, it is put in there. So I think they went with that, and then they went with Uncle Cracker too. So unless they couldn't get the music rights to Uncle Cracker, and they're like, well, we got to dub something for the video game as well. So really all depends on copyright laws.
Yeah, I'm sure it was something to do with not wanting to pay rights or something like that. So they just threw something together pretty quick. But whatever the alternate version of that song is terrible.
Kane goes to work on X-Pac, and then X-Pac pushes Kane into a bicycle kick by Albert. X-Pac nails the X Factor and a Bronco Buster on Kane. Kane tries to choke slam X-Pac, but Albert distracts him. big boots are just incredible. Kane throws X-Pac on the outside to Albert. Then Albert throws X-Pac out of the way, so Kane nails Albert with the flying clothesline. Kane hits a powerbomb on X-Pac for the win. I like this match. I gave it 2 1/4, Logan. I thought it was a very good, strong match here, even though X-Pac kind of like cheats. He puts up very good moves and a strong offense on the Kane as well, especially with the back-to-back. Like, he gets the X-Factor and the Bronco Buster, too, on Kane. So I like this match. And, again, Kane shows dominance, too, so I went 2 1/4. And then, the post-match, X-Factor gangs up on Kane, and Albert hits the Baldo bomb.
Yeah. This was really a vehicle to kind of put Albert over. I think he gets a lot of like interference, and then obviously the stuff after the match, he gets a little bit over on Kane. But we've kind of talked about it on Raw, but this is just kind of another occurrence of Kane kind of overcoming the odds. He kind of had to overcome Edge and Christian on Raw, and he had to overcome all of X Factor in this match to kind of just beat X-Pac. X-Pac got some good moves in. It kind of looked like he may pull it off at one point because he hits like you said, the X Factor and the Bronco Buster back to back, but Kane kind of rises up and then obviously hits the awesome layout powerbomb once again for the win. But yeah, they definitely seem to maybe be doing something with Albert because I think he gets a lot over on Kane through this. But I went 2 on the match. I thought it was solid. And these guys have chemistry from back when they were a tag team, so I think they're a good pair to put together.
Yes, indeed. Backstage now, we have Mick Foley. He apologized to Jericho for costing him the title on Monday. Mick Foley tries to give him the book. Again, Jericho was like, thanks, Mick, but I really don't want it. Next time, just stay out of my business. So, Jericho's forgiving, but he is still kind of mad at Foley that, Foley got involved and hit him with a chair.
Yeah. Jericho's very forgiving, but he says next time just stay out of my business and let me handle it on my own. So good for Jericho to kind of want to accomplish it on his own, but being also he accepts Foley's apology and being a good guy. So yep.
Commissioner Regal then comes to the ring. He's in a foul mood. Says he tried to enforce fairness. Says Mick Foley almost caused a tragedy on Raw. Says Regal saves Stone Cold and says Foley is no longer commissioner and demands respect. Says he was a better commissioner than Foley. Foley comes out, says he is a #1 best-selling author. Oh, and Regal also said that William Shakespeare would be rolling in his grave knowing that Foley is an author, which I thought was hilarious, funny too.
Mm-hmm.
Foley said, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just, it was hilarious that they kept bringing up Shakespeare.
Yeah. Foley says that Regal is a horse's ass. He says to quote Shakespeare again, you are a horse's ass. I don't think Shakespeare said that. Says when he was commissioner, the WWF was fun. And then Regal calls for security to escort Foley out of the building. So then when they're backstage, Foley's trying to sell the book to the security guards, and he gives the sock to one of the guards, give that to your kid, he'll remember it forever.
Yeah, good stuff by Foley here. Regal calls him a pillock and says he's besmirching the WWF and all that kind of stuff by writing a book and all that kind of stuff. But good little couple of good lines by Regal, but good little comedy with the security guards walking out, like you just said, with Foley kind of trying to give him the book and the sock. So not a bad little segment here.
Yep. So Shane McMahon is backstage. He's looking for the Undertaker. And Test is backstage as well, preparing for his match versus Edge for a King of the Ring spot. Test is like, Shane, don't get involved, man. Just let Undertaker handle his business. Don't go looking for trouble. Undertaker's on a war path, to try and beat him. So Shane McMahon is saying that he's not afraid, and he's just going to go talk to the Undertaker here.
Yeah. Test trying to be a good friend, kind of warning him that Taker's on ready to kill somebody. So, and as soon as he finds Shane, he's probably going to at least try to do that to him. So yeah, definitely being a good friend there. Test was.
Yep. So now we have the Dudley Boys versus Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko. Like we said before, Logan, Perry Saturn and Dean are really trying to still keep the radical theme alive, even though the radicals are basically no more. They're still trying to be them by going out to the music, and still saying that, hey, we're still here and we still got some ring wrestle left in us, so we'll see what happens here. But again, Perry is just out of it, and doesn't really pay attention anymore. He's not following directions.
Yeah, and he tries to grab Malenko's crotch, I think, when they're coming out to the ring. So definitely still spacing out Saturn is.
So yeah, Bubba gets thrown by Saturn, a face plant to Saturn by Bubba, spinning elbow, the spinning elbow by Devon, he does a little 180 spin and just lands the elbow into Perry, a tag to Dean, a shoulder drop to Dean, a backdrop to Dean, and then a was-up bomb to Dean by Devon. And then Perry Saturn goes, he's on the outside, and he's looking at the Dudley Boys' glasses, and he puts on Bubba Ray's. And then Perry Saturn thinks he's a Dudley Boy. He goes up to the top, and he gives Dean Malenko a what's-up bomb, too, which I found very, odd and shocking. It's what is going on here, So Perry thinks he's a Dudley Boy. He jumps off and hits Dean as well. And then Perry Saturn says, Devon, get the muffins and get the 3D for his troubles.
Mm-hmm.
I went 1.5 stars. By the way, the Dudley Boys win. I got 1.5 stars here. Not a whole lot from Dean and Perry, but I think the segment itself was just funny. When Saturn puts on the glasses, he thinks he's a Dudley Boy, and he does the what's up bomb. But even Devon had a lot of offense too, where we see most of it from Bubba. Devon gets that spinning 180 flying clothesline, and then he does a lot of shoulder dives too. So a lot from Devon as well. So 1.5 stars, it's fine. A good showing from the Dudleys, and another funny skit from Perry as well.
Yeah, I went 1.25 on it. It wasn't much of a match past the opening little segment because Perry does his stuff and puts over his new character that he has, puts on the Dudley glasses. I think he actually does the little what's up thing, and he has the glasses on, and that actually ends up cutting him, and he ends up bleeding a little bit. So he gets a little color for his troubles. But yeah, not much of a match past the first little opening minutes, but the opening couple minutes were pretty good for what it was worth. But yeah, just more Perry hilarity throughout this match, but a good win for the Dudleys at the same time.
So now we get now backstage we get Shane McMahon. He finds the Undertaker, and then actually he finds Kane. He asks Kane, "Where's your brother?" Undertaker's right there. And Undertaker slams Shane McMahon into an ice maker, and he's just wailing on Shane. But then Kane intervenes, I think he's telling the truth. Stop, man. You gotta stop. He's telling the truth. It's not him. He doesn't know anything. And he's Shane is literally a near inch from death. He's I swear, I don't know anything. So he really does not know anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good little physical segment. Taker really beats the shit out of him here. but it was good to see Shane actually have that conversation. And Kane, I don't really know what his thought process was. I don't know if he has some kind of like old alliance with Shane that he feels the need to kind of help him out here. But good to play the middleman and kind of play the good guy in this situation and be like, yeah, I don't think he really knows anything. I think he's telling the truth. So definitely a good little beat up segment in the back. But it'll be interesting to see what Taker is able to accomplish going forward.
Mm-hmm. So then now we get another backstage segment. The Hardy Boys are celebrating their victory. Jeff becoming the light heavyweight heavyweight champion. So they're all celebrating. It's a big for the Hardy Boys. Then, Christian is backstage. He wants gold and he wants to win something. So like they're really talking about him and Edge are really talking about, the path to the King of the Ring tournament, and getting to the finals of it. Maybe they'll meet each other, so it's like destiny here tonight. And then we get William Regal, who guarantees Mr. McMahon that he will be a tag team champion with Stone Cold. But the real question is, where's the Jerry in the popcorn?
I think he just tucked tail and ran. I think he just left the building. I hope he eventually gets Mr. McMahon his popcorn, because Mr. McMahon will probably be pretty mad if he doesn't get it. But I think he may have spilled it and been like, I think I'm gonna get out of here.
I'm so surprised that Mr. McMahon was like, Regal, where's my popcorn I asked for?
Where's my popcorn, pal?
Yep. So now we have our second King of the Ring qualified match. It is Test versus Edge. Test goes to work on Edge. A clothesline to Edge. A clothesline by Christian after Test chased Edge right into Christian. Edge slams Test's knee into the barricades, and Test is really favoring the knee. It is really hurting him a lot. So he's just going to work on the knee. A roll by Test for a 2 count. Test counters Edge. A tilt-a-whirl slam by Test. Test gets speared by Edge. A pump handle slam to Edge, but Christian puts Edge's foot on the rope. A big boot to Christian by Test, and then Edge does the face plant slam. It's the execution, but they don't really call it that yet. They didn't find a name for it, but it's a really incredible move, how that face plant is, and he gets the win there. So Edge advances. I went 2 stars. It's a fine. These two put on a really good performance here. Good tactics by Christian. The running clothesline. And then putting Edge's foot on the rope as well, taking one for the team too with the big boot. So I went 2 stars on the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went 2 stars as well. Test pretty much dominated the early portions, and then Edge started to kind of work over the leg. So good limb work there. Test kind of gets a late surge late in the match, but kind of ultimately falls victim to the numbers game that that Edge and Christian kind of used throughout the match. Christian on the outside, kind of providing all the help that Edge needs to get the victory here. But a solid match, like you said, but nothing overly special. But yeah, 2 stars.
Yep. And then so we'll see where everyone goes as these King of the Ring matches get underway as well. We are now at our main event for SmackDown here tonight. It is the tag team title match. It is Chris Benoit and Jericho versus Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon. Jericho and Benoit are in the ring, and they are waiting for Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon. However, Commissioner Regal comes out. He tells Benoit and Jericho that they will be in a non-title warm-up match. And out come the APA. So I guess Regal was giving Mr. McMahon's checkbook to the acolytes, because here they come out, ready to kick ass to Jericho and Benoit. didn't really see a lot of the acolytes on the last week of showings as well. But here they are now. I'm surprised they came out to this. You know, they would have probably told Regal to stick it, but here they are. They must be working for Mr. McMahon here.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they'll take the money from anybody, if anybody that's willing to hire or quote unquote hire them. They'll take the payment from. But I thought for the match that they had with the little match they had with the APA, didn't go quite even 3 minutes, but I thought they put together some good physical offense with each other, but not bad.
Yeah, like, Bradshaw gets a big boot in, German suplex, flying forearm, a DDT to Farouk, and lion salt by Jericho. So they win there. Then out come Big Show and Rhino for another warm-up match. Double clothesline by Big Show. Rhino goes to work on Jericho. A sidewalk slam by Big Show. Rhino misses the gore. Benoit chops, walls of Jericho and a crossface to Big Show, but Rhino comes out, hits both of them with a chair, and then 2 gores to Jericho as well, and a chokeslam to Benoit. So finally, after these warm-up, tune-up matches, when Benoit and Jericho are at their weakest here, out come Mr. McMahon and Stone Cold. Mr. McMahon says he has it. He basically covers Benoit, but Benoit kicks out. Benoit locks in a crossface to Vince, but that's broken up by Austin. Benoit counters a stunner into German suplexes. Austin slams both Benoit and Jericho into the announcer's table. A superplex to Benoit by Austin. Austin puts Benoit into the crossface. But then Austin gets a stunner, but Benoit counters it. And then Benoit basically rolls up Stone Cold by grabbing his tights. So for this portion of the match here, I went 2 stars. I didn't rate the other 2 warm-up matches. I did 2 stars here. It was a good performance, a little lackluster because it's not a full match with Mr. McMahon and Stone Cold. Whether or not they knew that Mr. McMahon, Vince cannot do like this, even though it was a tag match, so he wouldn't have to do that much work. I was surprised because I thought it was going to be a full match, but it ends up just being a little match segment, But I went 2 stars, a very good showing here by the competitors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went 2 1/4 for kind of the whole package, all 3 matches kind of combined. They gave Rhino and Big Show a lot of shine, continuing Rhino's kind of little push. He's in the tournament advanced on Raw, and he gets used in this tag match. But him and Big Show really kind of beat the crap out of Jericho and Benoit for the majority of that match. They end up actually getting disqualified using the chair. So, and then Big Show and Rhino keep beating the crap out of him after the match. After that match. And then the official match starts, of course, and it's not very long. It's 3 minutes. Like you said, I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get the whole match, but I kind of understand that this was them being super heels, kind of getting them beat down, so they would be easier to defeat. But I like that Benoit kind of got the one up on Austin with the using the tights, because Austin had beaten him the previous week with the tights. So I enjoyed that they kind of did that little playback there. But yeah, 2 1/4 for kind of the whole package. Could have been done a little better, but I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, so it looks like Benoit and Jericho are not going anywhere, and they are getting on Stone Cold's last nerves, and Mr. McMahon's as well, but most of Stone Cold's, because he does not know how to get rid of Benoit and Jericho here.
Yeah, but he in that line he said earlier is going to come back to cost him for sure. That he can take both of them on in the same match.
It will be. But do you think that Benoit is getting more of a shine than Jericho is? Because I do believe that. I gave the Benoit match on Raw that he had, the last 2 weeks was all Benoit, and I still think that Jericho is not getting the shine or the rub that Benoit is getting. I feel that the fans are more invested in Benoit's aggressive wrestling than they are with Jericho's, you know? Like, Benoit just seems like he's like the ultimate baby face. And it's like, what could have been with whatever didn't happen at King of the Ring, you know, like with Benoit and everything, you know, like in 2001, if Benoit, like, you know, got through King of the Ring and he actually stayed, you know, what could have been. But it does seem that Benoit is getting more of the shine than Jericho is here.
Yeah. I could see that for sure. You know, he got the title match in his hometown, and they had a pretty that match was pretty solid. I think I remember it being really good for the most part. And you know, Jericho, I think, and he gets some shine, but I think they definitely they're definitely putting Benoit over as a little bit more aggressive and like a little bit more of the guy that maybe can defeat Austin down the line. And Jericho's just kind of playing along for the time being. But yeah, I think the crowd's definitely a little bit more behind Benoit, but they're trying to present them as equals, and that they're both going to continue to go for Austin going forward.
Yeah. Well, before we go, Logan, do you have anything that you want to plug and or direct the listeners to?
A bunch of shows here on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. YouTube Roulette. We're going to be recording a new episode of that coming up. Not popcorn chicken salad, wrestling's chicken salad, and Starflation. I do that with Callum, and both of those shows with Callum and Ben. We're going to be recording new episodes of those coming up. Howie in the Impact Zone. Me and Jake actually recorded an episode last night. We had some sick patients. I had to miss the recording with some. You know, they were feeling a little under the weather, so me and Jake just did it alone. But that'll be coming out pretty soon as well. And then Who's Next is a pod that I do with Andy of Current Day NXT. So I have some other stuff on the No-So feed, but I won't bother everybody with all the plugs that I have to do. So I'll just stop there.
Yeah, and as for me, you can find me right here, basically on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. I have this show, and I also have Extreme Resurrection, where me and Steve Riddle are going back and covering ECW on the Sci-Fi Network. We are just hitting the road. We are basically on to WrestleMania 23 as we're hitting the last two shows right before WrestleMania 23. And we will see the fallout of what happened between the Battle of the Billionaires with Bobby Lashley and Umaga, and what is going to be the fallout of who wins the match between the ECW originals and the New Breed at WrestleMania 23 as well. So big ups to Extreme Resurrection as well. You can find that on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. Well, that is going to do it for us on Nation Invasion. But who will invade next in the WWF? Find out as we, the nation, continue this invasion.